He's telling us he got robbed by two detectives of money and guns, who were the ones that robbed him. As I'm coming down the stairs of Air Force 2, I'm confronted by a screaming individual. All right, welcome back to the Debrief. Eric Immesberger, retired ATF, and the legendary J.P. Cassidy, retired NYPD, coming straight from PSA 2 to the airwaves of the Debrief. Okay, so thank you everybody for the waterfall of comments on these debriefs, the direct messages, the texting, and we have started making lists of all your requests. And one of the request themes was for some just stories that literally make you want to laugh till it hurts, in the kind of comedy that cops like. These are the jokes that cops tell to each other in the bar. So again, what do we always want to do on the Debrief? Pull the curtain back and let you into our world. So here it is. And of course, JP will be chiming in. If he thinks you have a question about something, he's going to chime right in and basically answer that question for you. So 3 great, funny stories. Story number 1, and these are all from New York City, back in my task force days. So I'm almost laughing thinking about him. But this story involved when I had the Joint Firearms Task Force, Group 4 in Brooklyn, and we were just doing buy case after buy case after buy case. We always had gun buy operations going. But there was one stretch of point where we were just multiple deals a day. We were on fire. So one of these gun buy operations, and this one took place in Manhattan in May during Fleet Week. And Fleet Week is where an aircraft carrier, several other naval vessels, not only from the United States, but foreign militaries, will come to the west side of Manhattan, park at the piers by the USS Intrepid, which is a permanent museum. And if you ever get to New York City and you don't go on the Intrepid, you missed out. So those 3 things is setting up the stage for where this happened. Now, the guy that we had, the bad guy that we're buying guns from, this guy was like all the guys we were dealing with were bad guys. This guy was a real bad guy. He was violent, and we were going to do a few buy-ops with this guy, and we were going to get him rock solid, where he was going to get definitely federal prison time, and he was going to be off the streets and not be able to hurt anybody. So this is what this guy did. We meet him for a gun buy on, now the streets in Manhattan by the Intrepid, very close to like 10th Avenue. And then like a block and a half, 2 blocks more would be the East River. When this buy was going on 2 blocks away from us, there are Marines, sailors, hundreds of them in the street. So that's like the setup for what's going on. So our undercover, NYPD detective, ATF task force officer, he is in his undercover car, and this guy meets him on the street. This is late afternoon, and the bad guy shows up with a gym bag. And we're buying, I think we were buying 2 or 3 guns from this guy. So he gets into the car and he's nervous. He's looking around. He's like we call the agitated bad guy. He is not relaxed at all. So he gets in the car with the undercover. We get our 2 or 3 guns, whatever we were getting. And the undercover notices that there's other guns in this gym bag that, hey, you got extra guns? I'll buy them all. Because we're not letting a bad guy leave with guns. Like, we're going to buy them or we're going to find a way to relieve you of those guns. You're not going to leave with guns, especially a violent guy like this. But he refuses. And this is a great Undercover. And he pulls out like every little theme to run past this guy. Come on, what are you looking for? How much? I'll give you, what do you want for these things? Like, we're going to buy them. And the answer is the same from this guy. No, I got other people. I'm not selling you these guns. And right about this time, when this is getting to a little bit of a to-do, as we say inside the car, at the end of the block, and these are long blocks. So what this guy's looking at is like 75 yards up the street, looking east. It's a NYPD uniformed police officer by himself. He's just a guy walking a foot post, probably a rookie. And he's on the same side of the street as the undercover car. Bad guy has now noticed this by himself uniformed officer. And this is what he says to the undercover. That cop comes near this car, I'm shooting him. And the cop is still walking down. We're able to raise this guy up on the radio because at this point, we're either going to end this operation, and that is going to be very dangerous because this guy, bad guy, has got multiple guns in a bag in front of him, in his possession. Are they loaded? Can he reach his hand in, grab a gun? And now we've got a gunfight on our hands with an undercover, with a uniformed officer that has no idea what's going on. In his mind, if a gun battle breaks out and all these plain clothes, he may think everybody's a bad guy. But we're able to get him on the radio. And it's as simple. It's like, hey, the uniformed officer on, let's just say whatever street we were on, turn around, walk east, do not continue west. And he turned around and walked back up to the corner. So the crisis was averted for the moment. But bad guy insists on leaving. And he's like, I got to go. He's already paid him. He's got his gym bag. I jump on the air, and I had a lot of people on this cover team. I jumped on the air, and I had a car, one of our cars that had an NYPD detective, ATF task force officer, and an ATF agent. And I just put it over the air. I'm like, the guy's going to get into a cab, pull the cab over after it gets off this block. And you're going to grab him, mug him, get him in your car, make sure you got your tape recorder going, and drive him out of view of the general public. And he gets a choice. You can get arrested, or we're going to keep your money and we're going to keep your guns and we'll let you go. And the bad guy's just like, take everything, just take everything, just take everything, just let me go, let me go, let me go. And this is all on tape. So we keep all his guns, we keep all our buy money, and we let him go. The next morning, we are at the U.S. Attorney's Office. We're getting an arrest warrant for this guy. And at the next buy, it's basically going to be a buy bust. We're just going to lock this guy up. But now we can't find them for a day or two or three. And we get, this is like, what's the chance in a department with 30,000 police officers that this happens? So a phone call comes in to the task force from a sergeant, Danny C., in the 6-7 squad. He's detective sergeant running the squad. And this is now, I think, day 2 or 3, maybe 4 after we have gotten our federal arrest warrant. It's in the system. So we're looking for this kid. Danny from the 6-7 squad calls and says, hey, we just made an arrest of so-and-so. And this is like 8 o'clock in the morning. He was firing shots. There was something going on with some other gangster. Nobody got hurt, but we grabbed this kid, grabbed his gun, and your warrant pops. And we have him in the box right now. And listen to this fantastical story that he's telling us. He's telling us he got robbed by 2 detectives of money and guns. Can you believe that? And hey, Danny, yeah, that actually did happen. That was us. And we're the ones that robbed him, if you will, of his money and guns. And here's the story. Here's why. Here's how it happened. And he just said, oh, my God, well done. Nice. So we got him chained to the wall. Come down and grab him. You have your federal charges. We have these city charges. This guy's cooked. It's done. Drilled. Gonna have a number of years to think about his woeful decisions. What do you think of that, JP?
Now, I know there's always 2 or 3 contingency plans, but I'm sure this wasn't one of them. How did you come up with that on the fly?
Yeah, good one. Yeah, we always plan for the 2 or 3 most likely things that could go wrong. Somebody trying to rob us, an assault on the undercover. So we're very set on responding to those most likely bad things. So how do we put this together on the fly? When you have a team that is so excellent, and when I say excellent, I mean these are just street cops, street agents, able to adapt, because being able to adapt, whether you're in the detectives, your uniform, it's just something you develop. How do I make my own luck? How do I solve this problem? And things just, if you're busy, you're active, those answers just come to you literally sometimes on the fly. So in this situation, bad guy is leaving with a bag of guns. We cannot allow that at all. We could have just arrested him at that point, but we wanted one more contact with this guy, some more guns, and then arrest him at that point. Or if we see him in the street, we just arrest him anyway. So coming up with that plan on the fly, it's literally just something that just came to my mind. Like, how are we going to relieve him of these guns, but yet allow the case to keep moving forward? And that, in my mind, that seemed like about the only way to do it. And we would have the most awesome tape of this guy saying, just take the guns, take the money, just let me walk. It worked out so good. When I had my ATF agent and NYPD task force officer go down to the 6-7, grab this kid on a warrant, that dude, he was shook up enough on the city arrest. And then when he saw the federal arrest warrant, and, at that point, there's no secrets there. Yeah. Remember that guy that you were meeting and selling all those guns to? Yeah, that was us. You're done. And that was that. Moving on right to the next guy after that. I think just if you do enough things on the street, as a uniform officer, you do enough things as a detective, you do enough things at a task force, you're able to react with some good decisions. How do we solve this problem right now in the safest way? It worked out. So on to two actually hilarious stories. Now I'm a street agent in ATF, and once a year in New York City, there is the United Nations General Assembly. Every world leader is coming to New York City. Everybody just gets together to yell at each other. I am assigned as an ATF agent to supplement a United States State Department detail. So Secret Service usually will protect heads of state. So just happenstance, I get plugged in to assist a State Department team protecting whoever it was that they were on. And these State Department guys were like us. They loved the funny stuff that would happen literally all day long. But one of the State Department guys had a girlfriend, worked in the military, and she said, hey, The vice president flew in, and this was 20 plus years ago. Air Force Two. I'm at LaGuardia Airport. And if your State Department team would like to stop by, and we can give you a very brief tour of Air Force Two with the Secret Service that are out here. And I've already checked with them, and yeah, good to go. You guys can come over. Oh my God. Well, we had like a few hours of downtime off to LaGuardia Airport, Air Force Two, and we check in with the Secret Service. We have a conversation with the Secret Service, and we are permitted to go on to Air Force Two, very monitored. Here's the main conference table. Here's Al Gore's sports jacket leaning over a chair. Here's some Air Force Two match books, and you're all set. It's literally you're on there for like 5 or 6 minutes, and the Secret Service is pointing this out, pointing that out. They probably have to do this all day long. So a very excited person presents themselves to the Secret Service outside the plane. And I'm looking out the open door down the staircase, and I see this guy is like agitated, like his hands are in the air, and the Secret Service isn't reacting to this guy, and he's got some kind of identification in his hand. I just happen to be standing in the doorway. Secret Service thought I was a State Department agent, like with everybody else that I was with. I'm the ATF guy, the fun guy. So Secret Service guy motions for me to come down. As I'm coming down the stairs of Air Force Two, I'm confronted by a screaming individual. So the Secret Service says, hey, this guy's with the State Department. And no sooner does the Secret Service guy get those words out of his mouth that this guy looks at me. I've got this squiggly little thing coming out of my ear with the Oakleys and wearing a suit, even though I had a ponytail and big goatee at the time. This is what this guy says to me. I need to get in touch with the Secretary of State. And I said, I'm not going to be able to help you. Like literally, I was going to explain to him, hey, I'm with ATF. We're part of a detail. We just stopped by here for 5 minutes. We're not, part of this whole thing. But he won't let me get that out. He is now screaming, I need to get the Secretary of State on the phone right now, right now, right now. Well, if you're with the State Department, unless there's a missile headed our way, you know how to appropriately get a hold of the Secretary of State. And talking to me is not the way. This guy says to me, who are you? I want your name. I'm like, I'll give you my name. He goes, because your career is over today. You're going to be a former agent, whatever. I'm like, okay. And he's got a pen out. He's going to write it down. And I said, okay. Everybody calls me Dick, but my first name is Richard, but Dick. And I spelled D-I-C-K, Dick, as I'm looking at him. He goes, what's your last name? And I'm like, Gidron, Dick Gidron. He goes, okay, Dick Gidron, your career just ended. And he storms off. The Secret Service guy is like looking at me. He's not from New York. And he goes, that guy's going to cause you trouble. I'm like, he's not going to cause me trouble. Do you know who Dick Gidron is? He goes, no. I'm like, he's the largest Cadillac dealership in the Bronx. He owns it. Billboards everywhere. Dick Gidron Cadillac. I mean, good luck, pal. You're going to track me down. And of course, the actual State Department people that are now at the top of the stairs of Air Force Two watching this go on with me and this guy, they were not going to come down and say, oh, we actually are with the State Department and this guy's ATF. They're like, this was just too funny. We were going to let this play out. The guy trotted off. So perfect. Let's get back to our detail. Nothing like a little humor to keep the day going.
How does this rando get that close? Is it on the tarmac? Because you're not
Yeah. So you're a legit government employee. You have multi-factor identification documents. You have credentials. You're going to have what's called a PIV card, a PIV card, which operates your laptop, but it's got all your information on that and probably one or two other things. But he was not State Department law enforcement. He was a State Department employee. He could have been up there, but he had satisfied the Secret Service agent that he was a State Department employee, which is why I got waved down. Hey, State Department guy, come over here. I'm not going to let this guy on the plane, but he's agitated and he's got a question for you. LaGuardia Airport back then, those are tight. It's not like you're in a airport in Phoenix where you could park this plane 2 miles away from everybody and everything. You know, it was Air Force too, but it didn't have 1,000 yards of buffer between a building. The hangar was, 25 yards. And this was pre 9/11 also. So a slightly different security posture. If you're in these protection details, at least the one I was in, every day you're going to have a different job. One day you're working in the command post. One day you're with the protectee. One day you're part of what's called an advance team. And an advance team is your protectee has to go somewhere. Well, you're going to go there first. You're going to get the point of contact. Where's the exits? Where's the bathrooms? Where's the phones? What's 2 or 3 ways we can get this guy out of the building if we have to, and all of that. Now I'm with a State Department agent, and he's going to do all the talking. I'm just like the other guy that's with him. But the protectee is going to be interviewed at CNN headquarters in Manhattan, the New York flagship office for CNN. And we're going to do an advance, talk to our point of contact. She already knows we're coming. We're going to walk around, look around, and all of that. We get to the desk, and there's a, reception, guards, and we ask for this girl by name. I'm right at the counter, and I'm kind of looking over the counter and down because the guard has opened up a Rolodex. So for anybody under 30 years old, a Rolodex is a circular little device that has a bunch of index cards, and you just spin it around alphabetically, A, B, C, D, index card. Very popular a million years ago when I first started working, but now we got iPhones, don't need a Rolodex. So anyway, this guy's looking to the Rolodex, sees the CNN employee's card, pulls it out. It's got her picture, it's got her name, and it's got information about this person. So I see on this card the woman's name, the picture, and it says hometown. And it was a town in like Ohio. So a gal comes down, she's, bubbly, friendly, cheerful, nice. She goes, oh yeah, we get you guys Secret Service down here all the time and show them this, show them that. So she goes, okay, I'll show you around. So before she came, I told the State Department agent, I'm like, listen, I'm going to say some stuff. Just go with it. Or don't say anything. And don't laugh. So I go to this girl who is, she's very friendly. And I say to her, hold on, where are you? Don't tell me where you're from. I said, are you from like the Ohio area? She goes, oh my God, how did you know that? I said, wait a second. I'm getting like the eastern part of the state. She goes, oh my God, yes, I'm from this town. And she names the town. I said, okay, good. Just wanted to know I still got it. She goes, how did you know that? Now she's like, how did I know that? So I conspiratorially look left and right, make sure nobody's around. And I go to her, listen, we get sent to dialect detection school. It's like a 6-month school, so we can listen to stuff, and pinpoint where people are from based on their accent, mannerisms, speech, all of that. She goes, oh my God, that's incredible. I've never heard of that. Yeah, well, she's never heard of it because it doesn't exist. But I tell her, oh yeah, oh my God, great school. Really hard school too. She goes, oh my God, do you think the State Department would let me do a story on it? I said, I don't see why not. She goes, oh my God, so what's it called? Dialect Detection School. And I did tell her, now listen, they're going to tell you they don't know what you're talking about. Don't be deterred. Keep asking. I'm like, they're going to keep telling you this doesn't exist. It exists. You keep digging. Keep digging. She showed us around. We did all our advanced stuff. And she could not wait to get back to her office and tell her boss, oh my God, I just got like the scoop of the week. I'm going to do a story on this. Good luck. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to see all the phone calls that she would have made only to be told, we don't know what you're talking about. But I said, don't be deterred. Keep asking. And like I said, we had characters on this detail. One of the State Department agents had been a cartoonist before becoming an agent. So all throughout this 8 or 9 days, he's drawing all these little vignettes from all the funny stuff that happened running around Manhattan with these protectees. Unbelievably talented artist. And then he made copies and presented a book to every one of us at the end of the detail. I still got that book. It's hilarious. ATF agent, you get to work details with other agencies now and again, especially during the UN General Assembly. And it's an opportunity to have just a hilarious time. Guaranteed hilarious time. That was that.
Not so much for people living and working around the UN at the time, though. Long days, long nights for us.
If
you on the other side.
Yeah, if you lived in the neighborhood of the UN during the UN General Assembly, which is in September every year, and it runs for about 20, 21 days, take a vacation outside of New York City, because if you have a car, you are not going to be able to drive in those surrounding blocks. It's a no-go zone for any vehicle other than like all the protectee motorcades. If you want to go to a restaurant in that area, forget about it. It's waiting line only, because thousands of people from around the world are descending to this little, few square blocks. You want to get a hotel room, forget it. You're never going to get a hotel room. If I lived in that area of the United Nations, I would block out the whole month of September and I would go anywhere. Like anywhere. I mean, for us and the cops, we are making crazy premium pay money. And the cops were in love with it because our day started at about 4 a.m. And depending on your protectee, if he did all his UN stuff and then he wanted to go around town, eat, entertainment, craziness, you're with that guy until you put him to bed back at his hotel room. And then there's another protective shift that's going to be right at his door. So easily to have a 16 or 18 hour day every day for like 3 weeks. So the cops love it because they're going to make just a ton of overtime. And actually, as a federal agent, you can make what's called premium pay. So you got to work your 8-hour regular day, your 2 hours beyond that. So, because every federal agent is paid for a 10-hour day, 8 hours regular, 2 hours leap, basically uncontrolled AUO, we used to call it. We're going to compensate you 25% of your regular salary for the uncontrolled overtime that we know you're going to work. So you're getting your regular 40 hours, then you're getting an additional 10 hours every week on top of that. So you're getting paid for a 50-hour week. And anybody that works a 50-hour week, God bless them. I don't know what they're doing, because the normal federal agent, you're going to be working a 60 to 70 to 80-hour week every week. It just, our clock doesn't end at the end of, it's the end of the day. We go home, we'll pick it up tomorrow. No. If we're on something, we're on it, and we just stay on it. And, you're pretty much working for free after those 10 hours. But hey, it's what we signed up to do.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Secret Service runs a 17-hour tour, at least during that time frame. Does that sound right?
I don't know. If you are on an overnight detail where you're going to be, if you're going to be on the protectee when he's back at his hotel room, you're not going to get as many hours in that day as like we're going to get. So if your tour was supposed to start at, let's just say 9 o'clock at night, and you were going to work till 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, the protectee may not get back to his room till midnight. So you're just kind of standing there with nothing to do, really. And then if he's going to start his day early, like if he's under 100 years old and he wants to go out for a run at 5 in the morning, you're going to go out for a run. And that was one of the requirements of the detail. You had to be able to run a few miles. You get stuck on a detail where the guy is a health guy and he wants to go, or girl, and they want to run in Central Park every single morning before the sun comes up. You're going to be right there with them. So, yeah, if you don't want to work as many hours, the overnight, that's where you want to be. But if you want to just really pack the hours, you get the day tour, and you're just going to take a nap every day for 3 weeks. That's about it. So that is those 3 awesome stories. JP, did you ever work the UN detail? Okay. What was your role in that?
We were perimeter. I walked a couple of people around just to and from the cars. Because Secret Service, and that's what I remember, Secret Service saying that they were, I think it was 17-hour tours. They were just getting back up to the hotels because they had a block right on whatever street we were. But we were just standing there with the ESU for just a few nights. We had the radiation detector in the car.
Yeah, we had those. It measures what's called MILRADs, which is the measurement of radioactive environment that you may be standing in. I figured if it got to a bad thing just happened and that thing is pegged saying, there's a lot of things that have gone wrong before that. So tons of assets, and I am not aware of one single incident on a UN detail. That security is tight. You present yourself to attack somebody, you're going to be in a bag. The United States is not going to allow an incident to a foreign dignitary coming to the UN. It's just not going to happen. That's probably about the most secure piece of real estate on the face of the earth, other than the White House. It was a lot of fun.
Going back to the first story, how many times do you see the reaction when the federal package goes across to a perp and they see that it's not just city-state paperwork and they see federal on it? What's the reaction?
So any one of these arrests that we do federally on these bad guys, yeah, it's shocking is what it is. And actually, it's not an initial shock. They may think, oh, God, I've heard about this, but never experienced it. Well, now I'm experiencing it. The real cold water to the face is when you sit them down and you say, here's what you're being charged with. Here's what we got. And this is the federal sentencing guideline, the offense category, your criminal history category, see where those two things meet. That's where we're looking for a sentence. And yeah, that's the thing that brings men to their knees when they see that, and then they know this isn't a city arrest where maybe get a year. Now you're looking at 20 years. That's great. It's great to see. It's like, no more 10 swings at a bat before you get to taste real time. So once the realization sits in what they're looking at, time-wise, they're not happy. They're actually scared. Big tough guy. It's like 20 years. I'm like, some of them are 20 years. If we get a pattern armed robbery crew where they're displaying firearms, say they've done 8, 9, 10 robberies of commercial locations, the charge is called 924C. Title 18, United States Code 924C is in Charlie. And that's use of a firearm during and in relation to a federal crime of violence. It's minimum mandatory sentencing. So it goes by you displayed a gun, had it, possessed it, you fired the gun, and somebody got injured or hurt. And there's sentencing for each level of that. But then when you do offense number 2, offense number 3, offense number 4, you do not have concurrent sentencing. Each 924C stacks on top of the previous one. So if you were looking at 5 years on the first 924C, the next one adds, say, 10 or 15 years. The next one adds years. So you do 10 armed robberies with a gun and display it. You're looking at beyond your life expectancy on minimum mandatory sentencing. And things have changed a little bit since I was in, sentencing-wise, with the minimum mandatories, and it's not quite as harsh as it used to be when I was working. But still, when you sit a guy down and you say, hey, we got you on all these armed robberies, let's just say we pick the best 4 you on video with a gun in your hand. You either fired a shot or you had your gun in the hand for all of these robberies. And then we explain how 924C works. And minimum mandatory sentencing means the judge has no discretion. These charges stack on top of each other, no concurrent sentencing. It's all consecutive sentencing. Yeah, it's brutal. But if that's your chosen vocation, to put a gun in your hand and commit robberies, penalty's harsh, as it should be.
What do you say about the streets, Eric?
I think every generation of law enforcement, what do I say about the streets? Well, first, what do I say about the streets? This beautiful phrase. The streets are not for everybody. That's why we have sidewalks too. But I think every generation of law enforcement, you retire and, you go through an area that used to work all the time and you're like, it seems like things are still going on. There's a generation of police that retired, but now there's a new generation of police, but there's also a new generation of bad guys. And the characters that my guys and I put away, there's a whole new batch that are out there for the next batch of law enforcement to deal with. So it's a merry-go-round. That's what I think of the streets.
How often do the minimum mandatories change? And what's that process like, and how
So,
often did you get to see it?
well, I got to see it on every case that involved a federal crime of violence and a firearm was used during and in relation to that. So typically, this is going to be armed robbery cases. So armed robbery in a home invasion where the bad guys are looking to steal money or kilos of cocaine or whatever type of narcotic. That would be an example of 924C. You walk into a Holiday Inn with a gun in your hand and you want to rob the front desk, or you go into a GameStop store. I don't know why somebody would want to rob GameStops, but they would get hit all the time in Kansas City. I mean, who shops with cash anymore? But they're going to take all the cash and they're going to, fill up a gym bag with these video game, whatever kind of games. But if you're armed and you get those 924Cs stacked on, and this is the brutality of federal sentencing. If you're what's called an armed career criminal, meaning within, if I got this right from memory, if you have 2 or more violent felony convictions within the last 10 years, let's say we grabbed you on, a 924C case, you then become an armed career criminal, which is a separate designation altogether. And I believe the bidding starts at 15 years when you're in that category. ACC is what it's called. That being said, I've been retired 7 years now. I know that there was some back and forth in the courts on minimum mandatory sentencing. And I think that there were some changes to the application of that. Not 100% sure what they are because I'm out of the game now. But if I remember the back and forth talk, it was to lessen the harshness of these minimum mandatory sentences where a federal judge, there was some leeway, some discretion, where back when I was working, 0 discretion. If you got convicted of 24C, multiple 924Cs, the judge was not supposed to have any choice in the matter. You got convicted of this. These are the mandatory minimum sentencing. This is what you're going to get. So I know on some home invasion guys that we did where they were doing armed robberies, armed career criminals, 924Cs with armed robbery, crews doing commercial locations. And if we took the best 4 or 5, the bidding started at like 50 years. Like your sentence was going to be 50 or more years when you started stacking the charges. You want to rob with a gun in your hand and actually use it, fire shots, or actually hurt somebody or kill somebody, you're done. Federally, we're going to remove you from society. You're not going to do that to anybody else.